Hi, I'm Sonya White Jaguar. Welcome to this edition of White Jaguar Wednesdays, my semi-monthly series where I discuss spiritual subjects inspired by your questions. Today is February 21st, Alan Rickman's birthday. He would have been 78 today. Since I've been working with Alan for the past 8 years since his death, I wanted to do something very special to honor him today. I have information to share with you that's been a long time coming. I've written a free book titled A Spiritual Perspective on Cancer, the Disease That Took Alan Rickman's Life. In this book, I discuss what I feel is a major contributor to cancer cases that the medical community doesn't recognize, and I share what I believe was the specific cause of Alan's pancreatic cancer, which I've never revealed publicly before now. Pancreatic cancer exhibits no symptoms early on. It's most often discovered in late stages when it's more difficult to treat, so the survival rate is low. So it's very important to raise awareness about this disease. And I apologize that it's taking me so long to finish this book, but writing isn't easy. I know that those of you who are writers know what I'm saying, and this material was not easy to put together. Many times while I was working on it, I was overcome with all kinds of emotions, from sadness to outrage, and I had to stop and come back to it later. But anyway, the book is finished now, and I share this as a very special tribute to Alan, and also to all of you who are fans of Alan. And I hope it helps you and everyone who takes the time to read it. That's the intention. And again, it's free. I've posted it on Wattpad. You don't need a Wattpad account to read it. The link is in the description box below. Now, some people have told me that they prefer listening to audiobooks rather than reading a print book. So I've decided to do something a little different with this book. I feel that the material is so important that I want to ensure it's accessible to as many people as possible. So what I'm going to do is read the book here for those of you who would prefer to listen to it rather than read it yourself. I'm happy to do that. If you'd prefer not to listen to my voice and just read it, feel free to go on to Wattpad. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, a spiritual perspective on cancer. Dedication to Sherry, one of my first Reiki master students and a well-respected herbalist in the Las Vegas community. She put up a long, hard fight with skin cancer. Now she's with Alan in the realm where there's no longer any physical pain. As an aside, I know that some of you knew her, and what she went through was really rough. And as a teacher, it's hard to lose a student. Okay, introduction. Sadly, beloved actor Alan Rickman had died of pancreatic cancer after being diagnosed only 6 months prior. From what I've read, this form of cancer exhibits no symptoms early on. It's most often discovered in late stages when it's more difficult to treat. As a result, the prognosis usually isn't good. It has the highest mortality rate of all cancers and is currently the third leading cause of cancer-related death in the U.S. after lung and colon cancer. Even more troubling is that pancreatic cancer is expected to become the second leading cause of cancer-related death in the U.S. by 2030. Cancer is such a dreaded disease that I realized I must share my perspective as a spiritual healer after seeing the devastating worldwide impact of COVID-19. To withhold anything that might be helpful in the fight against cancer would do a disservice to you and dishonor Alan's memory also. That said, I must emphasize that I'm not a medical doctor or a laboratory technician. I don't have the capability to conduct clinical tests to support my case, which is expected in our science-driven Western world. However, I do cite medical discoveries that indicate I may be on the right track. I'd like to see the medical community connect the dots. My hope is that I can inspire and encourage further clinical testing where it's needed. I believe that solutions to our problems would be found faster if people in the fields of science and spirituality collaborated. This short book is a compilation of my spiritual insights, medical research, and input that I channeled from Alan. I discuss what I feel is a major contributor to cancer cases that the medical community doesn't recognize. Finally, I share what I believe was the specific cause of Alan's pancreatic cancer, which I've never revealed publicly before now. Okay, a spiritual perspective on cancer. I'd like to begin with a quote from Spiritual Healing, Scientific Validation of a Healing Revolution by Daniel J. Benor, MD, published in 2001. Quote, shamanic medicine can clearly be of help to Western medicine. In 1993, people who were 20 to 40 years old started dying of an unidentified illness on Navajo reservations. They started with complaints of vague aches and fever, sore throats and bellies, and then developed difficulty breathing. Within a day, they succumbed to an overwhelming pneumonia of unknown cause. The Indian Health Service, New Mexico Department of Health, Los Alamos National Laboratory, Sandia National Laboratory, and the National CDC were unable to identify an infectious organism or toxin, which might be causing these rapid deaths. Theories ranged from AIDS to anthrax, and even that radiation poisoning from a nuclear weapons storage site might be causing the deaths. Ben Muneta, a Navajo medical doctor working for the CDC, asked the advice of a medicine man, Andy Natonaba. Natonaba told him the illness was caused by an excess of rainfall, which had caused the pinyon trees to bear too much fruit. He showed Muneta an old photograph of a sand painting with a mouse painted into it. Natonaba told him that many years ago such a sickness had occurred and that the sand painting had been used to treat it. Look to the mouse, Ben Muneta was told. He took this information back to the CDC. Further investigations confirmed that a hantavirus caused these deaths. It is contracted from urine and droppings of deer mice who were infected with this virus. That year, the population of deer mice had swelled enormously because of an unusually heavy crop of pinyon nuts." Unquote. I'd seen an ad for Dr. Brenor's book in an old issue of Reiki News magazine I was reading in 2016, and I have the latest issue on the shelf behind me here. You can see a dog receiving Reiki. The title of the book piqued my interest, so I ordered a copy. While the volume is chock full of spiritual healing success stories, the above anecdote happened to be the first one I read when I received the book. This incident was included in the chapter titled Shamanism. Because of the spiritual experiences I'd been having with Alan in 2016, I knew this find was not random. I took the story as a sign that a spiritual message I had received about Alan's disease may have been accurate. I haven't revealed this publicly before now. In From Actor to Healer, Alan Rickman's New Life as a Spirit Guide, Book 1, I explained that Alan and I gave each other spiritual healing exchanges for months after I taught him Reiki. While working on him one day, 2 physical causes of his cancer came to me by revelation. Words flowed out of my mouth with no forethought, as if I were channeling spirit directly. So I took the insight seriously. I then asked Alan if his doctors had told him what had caused his cancer, and he said no. Later, I did some research online and confirmed that the medical industry doesn't know what the underlying cause of pancreatic cancer is. The spiritual message I'd received while working on Alan that day was that his cancer had been caused by a genetic predisposition and a virus. I have no idea if this is true for all instances of pancreatic cancer, but I do believe these were the physical causes of Alan's disease. Months later, when I read the tragic story above about the virus that had killed scores of Navajo people in 1993, I was encouraged that spiritual healers and medical professionals could work together to find answers. Since the cause of the disease was an undiagnosed virus, I wondered if the story came to me at that time to validate the message I had received about Alan's disease. Not long after, I received another sign from my chiropractor, Connie, whom I mentioned in Book 2. Connie had recently returned from a trip to California, where she'd attended a presentation by medical intuitive and author Anthony William. Since the age of 4, William has worked with a spirit guide who taught him how to heal a variety of diseases. Because of my spiritual healing work, Connie recommended his first book, Medical Medium: Secrets Behind Chronic and Mystery Illness and How to Finally Heal, published in 2015, as she thought it would be particularly helpful to me in my practice. I wasted no time in ordering a copy and eagerly read it cover to cover. What I learned was eye-opening, gave me more confidence that my suspicions about Alan's cancer could be correct, and later helped me to heal myself of a serious condition. Let me take you on a journey through my discoveries, and then I'll return to the discussion of Alan's disease. Okay, in his book, Anthony William writes, quote, "The Epstein-Barr virus, EBV, has created a secret epidemic. Out of the roughly 320 million people in the U.S., over 225 million Americans have some form of EBV. Epstein-Barr is responsible for mystery illnesses of every category. For some people, it creates fatigue and pain that go unnamed. For others, EBV symptoms prompt doctors to prescribe ineffective treatments, such as hormone replacement. And for so many people walking around with EBV, it gets misdiagnosed. Among the reasons EBV is thriving, so little is understood about it. Medical communities are aware of only one version of EBV, but there are actually over 60 varieties. Doctors have no idea how the virus operates long-term and how problematic it can be. The truth is, EBV is the source of numerous health problems that are currently considered mystery illnesses, such as fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. EBV is also the cause of some major maladies that medical communities think they understand but really don't, including thyroid disease, vertigo, and tinnitus. Medical communities aren't yet aware that EBV is the actual cause of most thyroid disorders and diseases, especially Hashimoto's, but also Graves', thyroid cancer, and other thyroid ills. Thyroid disease is also sometimes caused by radiation, but in over 95% of cases, the culprit is Epstein-Barr. If a doctor gives you a Hashimoto's diagnosis, it really means that she or he doesn't know what's wrong. The claim is that your body is attacking your thyroid, a view that arises from misinformation. In truth, it's the EBV, not your body, attacking the thyroid, unquote. Epstein-Barr is a common herpes virus that's probably best known for causing mononucleosis, but as William says, it seems there's more to this virus than the medical community understands. Through specific natural healing protocols outlined in the book, William has helped countless clients overcome their mystery illnesses and eradicate the virus from their body. I highly recommend his book. I have no affiliation with him. I simply feel that his book would be beneficial. Incidentally, I shared Medical Medium with my friend Steve as we were meeting regularly at that time for the past life regression sessions I discussed in book 2. The book so impressed him that he subsequently read every book William had written. Steve was then inspired to develop his own energy healing method that targets undiagnosed viruses in the body. A couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's by a nurse practitioner. She prescribed a natural thyroid hormone replacement that balanced my T3 and T4 hormones. But irksome physical symptoms remained: fatigue, difficulty concentrating, and a mild choking sensation around the area of my thyroid that got worse over time. When I complained to the nurse that my symptoms were not abating, she had no answer and wrote a referral for an ultrasound. When I called the facility to schedule the ultrasound, I was told they didn't accept my insurance, so I would be unable to get the test done there. Then the nurse gave me the phone number of a different facility. When I called, they said patients couldn't schedule appointments directly. They would first review the order from the nurse and then call me to schedule the appointment. Weeks passed and no one called me to schedule an appointment. To say I was frustrated and disappointed is an understatement. Experiences like mine are what drive people to seek alternative solutions outside the medical establishment. At that point, I remembered Anthony Williams' book and reread what he'd said about thyroid disease. When I realized an Epstein-Barr infection was the likely culprit of my symptoms, I took steps to kill the virus on my own because conventional medicine has no cure for EBV. When I began, I stopped taking the thyroid medication so I could test whether my efforts were working. I performed rigorous energy work and took daily doses of specific essential oils and supplements for a month. Following my efforts, the subsequent blood test showed normal thyroid hormone levels, and the choking sensation in my throat stopped. I no longer needed the thyroid medication. To this day, Hashimoto's has not returned. My experience proved to me that Anthony Williams is correct. I believe that the Epstein-Barr virus indeed causes thyroid disease. Clearing the infection will heal the thyroid. Now I understand that the root cause of many so-called diseases can be microbial infections. As a healer, I have the feeling that more cancers and conditions are due to infections than the medical community realizes. While I applaud William for spreading the word about EBV, there are unfortunately many other viruses that pose serious health risks. I'd like to share what else I've learned. Okay, this has been a lot of information and I don't want to overload you all at once. So I'm going to stop there for today and pick up where I left off in the next video. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, be sure to subscribe so you can get notified when the next video comes out. If you have a question, please feel free to leave a comment below or email me at Sonya@sonyawhitejaguar.com. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.